Hero. Webster's dictionary defines hero as a man who is admired for his achievements, great quality, and noble courage. A hero should give others heart, empowerment, respect, and opportunity. And my hero is my brother, Mr. Sterling Harris. I'm going to tell you why he's my hero. But first, let me tell you how it all began. I want to paint a picture for you. It's Christmas morning, and I wake up, and I run downstairs, and I see all the Christmas presents under the Christmas tree. My stocking is filled to the brim. My mom and dad are standing behind me with big smiles on their faces. Later on, we have our traditional Christmas breakfast. And I know you can't tell, but I love to eat. You know, it's a spread. It's a feast with homemade buttermilk biscuits and gravy, with jelly, cheese grits, eggs, smoked salmon, and my favorite, crispy bacon. I love Christmas breakfast. After stuffing my face, I'd play with my toys and spend time with my family. Christmas was a great day. Unfortunately, that's Sterling's rendition for his Christmas when he was 8 years old. Now, when I was 8 years old and I woke up on Christmas morning, I was cold. There were no Christmas trees or Christmas presents. A great Christmas for us would include indoor plumbing, running water, and warm food on the table. I lived in a small, rundown storage shed with 3 other people. My biological brother, Vontae, and I shared an old twin bed with a mattress that was heavily stained and soiled with sweat and had a strong odor from what other people had left behind. Somehow your senses got used to the smell so that you can go on with life. What I really wanted for Christmas was for school to start up again. I enjoyed the warm, clean classrooms, the bathrooms with running water, the library, and of course the lunchroom. If you're on a lunch program, you could get one good meal 5 days a week. Going hungry during the holidays was a problem sometimes. But if you can survive on the streets, then you can make it. I was born out of wedlock. Are you ready for this? I was born in prison. I never knew my parents growing up. Well, as a matter of fact, I did see my dad once when I was 5. He dropped off some Christmas sympathy gifts. But I haven't seen him since. My mom, she was a drug addict, and she died in prison. So my aunt took care of me. Living with my Aunt Marie started off great. I had everything a kid would want, plenty of love, a nice home, cars, clothes. Everything was great until her husband died of a tragic heart attack. Now, he was her heart and soul. She became severely depressed, got overwhelmed with bills and grief, and ended up having a nervous breakdown. This caused our lives to spin out of control. My other Aunt Lillian came to live with us to try to help out, but it wasn't enough. So when I was 6, my life completely changed. My aunt owned a piece of land that was about in the middle of nowhere, so neighbors were non-existent. She became a pack rat. And have you seen the show Hoarders on A&E? Okay, imagine the worst episode. That's exactly how I lived. The land was cluttered with mounds of junk and trash, old cans, cars, stoves, washing machines. It was like we lived in a junkyard. The home we owned got repossessed, and the 4 of us were forced to move into a 15 by 15 storage shed in which I call the shack on this piece of land. Now the shack, I want you to envision rotten wood everywhere. There are huge gaps and cracks in the wall, so it felt like you're outside when you're inside. The roof leaked, which caused mildew inside the shack. We had no running water, no gas, no electricity. If we wanted running water, we had to get it from a well that was next to our property. If we wanted electricity, we had to get it from a electricity pole, and we siphoned it. Later, I learned we did it without permission. If we wanted some hot food, my aunt had a makeshift stove on cinder blocks that was outside. Now, if we wanted to take a bath or wash our clothes, we used an old aluminum tub that you see back in the Westerns. Now, this is real vivid. If we wanted to use the bathroom, we had to use a 5-gallon bucket. And when that bucket got midway to halfway full, me and my brother would have to take it out back about 100 yards and dump it. So in the summertime, when the air became still, or the wind came across, the stench of urine and feces, if you can only imagine. My conditions were so poor that in the 4th grade, I came down with mono and had to miss an entire month of school. Unimaginable living conditions. Now, I lived like that for about 3 years until the church I was part of was gracious enough to donate a used trailer home to us. Now, the trailer home was an upgrade from the shack. Believe me, it was an upgrade. But it was still meager at best. It was dilapidated. And it was in such poor conditions that we still couldn't hook up any utilities to it. So we still didn't have running water, gas, electricity. So the things that people take for granted, like a shower, using a sink, toilet, using a stove to cook, I still couldn't do. And I always ask myself, God, why? Why are you doing this to me? What did I do to deserve this? I started playing sports when I was in 6th grade. And I found out I was a natural athlete. And I lived way out in the country. So I didn't know I was good at any sports. And I had a camaraderie with other athletes. So I never had any friends. I was a social outcast. I was embarrassed about where I lived and how I lived. But when I started playing sports, I also realized that I don't want to go back where I lived. I'm going to try to live on the streets. And that's exactly what I did. So to cope with my dysfunctional home life, I created a double life. On one hand, I excelled in school and sports. On the other, I craved social acceptance and only found it on the streets. So when practice was over or school was over, I never had a ride home. I lived way out in the country, so I had to walk or hitchhike my way home 10 miles daily. And let me tell you, I've done it so many times, I can't even count on both of my hands. So in turn, I started staying at my friend Jimmy's house. He was my best friend at the time. He only lived about a block and a half away from school. I would go to his house, and his mom, she was a great parent. But bless her heart, she was a single parent. And she worked at night. So she left us at home alone, unattended. And when you're 9 and 10 years old and you have no supervision, you try to find things to do. And what we did, we ran the streets. At that time, I was a hardened kid. I wasn't afraid of anything because of my upbringing. I quickly gained a reputation for being crazy and fearless and tough and strong. Don't mess with that guy right there. And because of that, the other street kids were attracted to me. I started getting in trouble more and more. I started moving up the ranks of street life and got involved with gang life. And let me tell you, if you think about what gangsters did or done, I did it all before the age of 13. My life was headed down a one-way path of destruction. However, the one thing that was consistent in my life since I was a little kid was school. School was my escape. School was my sanctuary. Even though I had to walk 3 miles to get to the bus stop, then ride the bus another 10 miles to get to school, I did it every day because I loved school that much. It was my place to shine. And as a matter of fact, I was a pretty good student. I scored the highest score on a TOS test in the 5th grade in the entire state of Texas. I think we call it STAR now. And I got to meet Governor Ann Richards. She came and gave me a big blue ribbon. So school was my place to shine. But when school was over, it was back to hell for me. Thank God for football. I started playing in 7th grade. When I started playing football, everything in my life changed. People started looking up to me in a positive way. I gained positive friends, and that's where I met Sterling. Me and Sterling had a lot in common. We were both exceptional students and great athletes. We started hanging out more and more. Sterling, like my friend Jimmy, was way more grounded and had a much healthier upbringing. His parents were heavily involved in his life. They were strict and disciplined and loving and caring. I would go over to his house, and me being a master manipulator, I would try to get him to do things my way. And they were like, no, sir, not over here. You're not going to influence our kid in a negative way. They're like, hey, when you're here, you're going to have a good time. When it's time for you to go, you got to go. But if you're going to stay, you have no choice but to follow our rules. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of intense. I'm not used to someone telling me what to do and how to do it. But I realized if I wanted a better life, I had to listen to him. And I did. And also because I love Sterling that much. Sterling and the Harrises are my heroes because they saved my life. I went on to graduate from Terrell High School in the top 5% of my class. Got a football scholarship to SMU. Graduated from SMU with an economics and finance degree. I now live in Los Angeles, and I'm in an entertainment arena. But if it wasn't for my parents, my teachers, and my coaches, I would have never got that opportunity. Me and Sterling, we started Brothers by Choice because we wanted to show young adults that as long as you dreamed big and worked hard, there were better things out there for you. We started this foundation and based it upon two things. Number one, perseverance is the backbone to success. Looks, intelligence, and ability have nothing to do with perseverance. You have to persevere to do anything in life. And number two, there's a light at the end of the dark tunnel, no matter how dark it is. There were times in my life where I couldn't see through the darkness. There were people that guided me through the light. I want to thank you guys also for being heroes. Whether you did something big or small, or significantly large or minute in a young adult's life, you're a hero because you're a positive influence. Every young adult deserves the same heart, empowerment, respect, and opportunity that I got. So I want to challenge you today to continue to be a hero because you can save somebody's life just like the way mine was. Thank you.